How's it going, everyone? What I'm going to bring to you today is my first actual how to become a better sniping tutorial for Battlefield 4. I did one for 3 and it was a great success for the most part. So I'm going to repeat the same processes with some minor changes for Battlefield 4. And here we go. The first and foremost rule of sniping is to spot everything you see. Infantry, tanks, choppers, jets, everything. Even if you aren't the best sniper out there and you're trying to get better, you could help your team just by spotting everything you see. I'm not sure what the spotting system is on the new consoles. For Xbox 360 and PS3, it was the select or the spot button. On PC, it's Q. I'm not sure what it is on the next-gen consoles because they changed the controllers around a bit. But look that up or find it in the comments section because I'm sure someone will ask and it'll be answered below. But make sure you spot everything you see. The next thing is to set up your kit for maximum effectiveness. And I have a video on that separately that I'll link in the description, but I will break it down shortly here. The next thing is to pick your rifle of choice. In this game, I prefer the 338 Recon, the M98B, or the SRR61 because of their extreme bullet damage, their combination of extreme bullet damage, bullet velocity, and relatively quick reload time. That said, the rifle isn't really important. It's up to your preferences and likes. They're not that much different. Anyone who's good at actually sniping will notice that they can make the adjustment with the differences in terms of bullet drop and bullet velocity, and they can make them quick. So it's all subjective. If you're good with one rifle, you don't have to change them. Those are just the three I prefer. But if you have great success with, say, the SV98, don't feel the need to change. It's all up to what you prefer. The rest of the strategies apply to everyone and everything below, though, regardless of what rifle you choose. With regard to attachments, I usually prefer the 8x scope. The 20 and even the 40 would suit you a lot better if you were going for like shots farther than 8 to 1,000 meters or further. Other than that, though, the 8x scope would be, especially with variable zoom if you prefer it, should cover you quite well up to 500 meters. You shouldn't need anything more than that up to 500. Well, once you practice it at least. I use the rangefinder for longer range shots and the laser sight for more aggressive closer range sniping. If I change anything on the barrel, for the most part, it'll be the muzzle brake. That's about it. You can use a silencer if you choose to, but be aware that the lower velocity rounds firing through the silencer will increase your bullet drop exponentially, so you have to account for that. And if you're just learning sniping, my advice to you would be to ignore the silencer. Get used to the bullet drop, the behavior patterns, the bullet trajectories, velocities, and everything of an unsilenced sniper rifle, then get used to the silencer. Don't make things complicated by switching the two up, because then you'll never actually learn either or, and you won't improve at all. So that's up to you, but that would be my advice. The next thing I use is I always use the straight pull bolt because I prefer to stand and take cover versus going prone with the bipod. The straight pull bolt also leaves you scoped in if you choose for quick follow-up shots if you don't get one-hit kills. The bipod helps for longer range shots for those that prefer it, but I don't. Again, it's subjective and up to you. I always use the motion sensor or the tugs to give me and teammates an indication of where enemies are around that 25-meter radius that they offer. I use C4 usually to set traps on MCOMs, or to take out enemy vehicles if I'm able to conceal myself and make a nice sprint toward their vehicles. It gives me an option of helping out in terms of sniping and armor this way. With regard to field upgrades, I'll usually choose the Shadow or Sniper upgrades, because Shadow is pretty self-explanatory. It keeps you off maps and hidden as long as you stay out of the main area battle, or the battle area. The Sniper one allows for better sniping for long-range shots, and as well as sort of a balance of the Sniper section. That should be determined by your playstyle. If you're more the sitting back, longer range sniper, then you should probably stick with going with the Shadow or going with the Sniper one. But if you prefer to closer range, sort of medium combat, then I'd go with the Shadow because it keeps you off the map. Now the next 3 points are critical, and I want to really emphasize these 3 next points. Get used to one gun and everything about it, such as reload behavior, recoil behavior, bullet drop behavior, reload times and patterns, and get used to it with one scope of one gun. Remember that. Before switching scopes, get used to short, medium, and long range sniping before moving on to another scope. The main problem, I believe, is that some people switching guns or scopes too often if they're not having success with it, leads to confusion and muscle memory because each gun is slightly different. Engaging ranges and bullet drop is different between scopes. So the time spent on one gun may be undone because if you switch from, say, the SV98 to the M98B, you've switched and completely have to learn a new style and different gun and the optic associated with it. So for example, if you're struggling with the SV98, switching to the M4A5 may solve your problem, but in a lot of cases it just makes it a lot worse because now you're learning a new gun and a new gun's behavior. So my advice to you is stick with one gun and one scope and get used to all sorts of ranges with it, then switch the scope, then switch the gun. It's all like learn basic sniping before you switch is what I'm emphasizing. Another overlooked aspect of sniping is sensitivity. It's critically important to find the sensitivity that you're comfortable with, but can also transition between different scopes, guns, and vehicles. You can switch it if you choose, depending if you go into a sniping, if you go to choose as a sniper and then jump in a tank, but I don't. I leave it as one. But I notice a lot of people struggling, maybe because they're using too low or too high a sensitivity. Experiment to find out what's best for you. But for me personally, because I'm on PC, I use a 2000 DPI on my mouse and a 20% vehicle and actual gameplay sensitivity in game. The next key factor, and this is a huge one, to becoming a better sniper is map and situational awareness. And this comes with using your minimap as well. You should be viewing your minimap about 50% of the times you play because it tells you enemy locations, the directions they're facing, if their guns go off, where they are, and enemies occupying certain areas. Based on that, you can get an idea of where they are and where they'll be attacking next. If you've played a map a lot, you'll notice some maps have hotspot or choke points, and a lot of people tend to go to these areas a lot or every time. You can use this to your advantage when it comes to flanking or just staying in a spot and picking them off from the sides. Being aware of what's around you and where and when you can be attacked from is great situational awareness, and is probably the biggest factor in any good player you see playing any video game. The next general trick I use is to never scope in for lengthy times. Always scope out to track movements in enemies and spot them as you go. Scoping in reduces the amount of things that you can see, obviously, and gives off a nice infamous glint that everyone doesn't like to the enemy, letting them know where you are. Only scope in to see potential sniper spots or targets, or investigate what you believe could be a target or another sniper. That's when you should investigate. Otherwise, just stay out of it and spot. If you're in an encounter within 12.5 meters, you can try hip firing or aggressive recon, quick scoping if you will, preferably with a laser sight attached, or you can switch to your pistol. Personally, switching to your pistol is probably your best bet, and it's your most reliable bet. Your sidearm's your best friend, because if you miss with that quick scope or hip fire shot, you are done. You have absolutely, unless the enemy is crap. Even with motion sensors, try to avoid staying in one area for too long, and make sure that if you are going to relocate, you either leave it where it is if it's near an MCOM to help out your teammates, or you pick it up and move to a different area. Staying in one area will, especially if you get kills with it, will basically lead you to becoming a potential victim of a revenge kill. If you're going to move from one spot to another the next point, make sure you look ahead and plan your route. Moving from cover to cover and trying not to be detected, and try not to be detected, because you'll probably lose the majority of gunfights you ever get into with someone with an automatic gun. When I'm in a battle, I prefer to use a side strafing motion in a sniper duel. If I miss my first shot or I don't get the kill, I'm like a quick step to the left or to the right, forward or backwards from the original location, scope back in and shoot again. Make sure you develop both sides of this strafing motion to avoid developing patterns, because if you can only move to the right when you sidestep, a smart enemy will pick up and say, he only moves to the right, so I'm just going to aim to the left now. If he hits you first, duck or relocate. Most of the time it's smarter to just move away, because he'll have the jump on you. Counterfiring after he's already knocked your health down, super risky, and I would not advise it. When moving, center your reticle toward the middle of the screen and move to the target as quickly as possible. This allows for a quick look down your scope and little if any adjustment when you actually have to aim at your target. The main reason for this strategy behind it is to reduce the time to set up the shot, like I said. The faster you get at this, not only will you get more kills, but the more wins you'll get in sniper duels. Obviously, you should be aiming for the head for the one-hit kill. Otherwise, you'll need a minimum of 2 shots to eliminate the target if you're beyond 12.5 meters. That changed in Battlefield 4 because Battlefield 3 was basically a one-shot hit, only if you hit the head. With regard to longer sniping, compensate for gravity by aiming slightly above the target on medium range and higher for longer range shots. It takes practice to get the amount of compensation right, but Battlefield 4, luckily for people who want to learn and are new to it, added the rangefinder and the ability to dope your scope. I'll leave the video in the description, and I go over the whole idea of how to do it in that video, but I will cover it very briefly for those who want an idea of it. You use the PLD or a rangefinder to find out how far the target is. You set your scope range, which is the bottom meter on your screen, by clicking V on PC, to how far you think the enemy is, or how far the rangefinder tells you it is. If it's the same or very close, aim directly at the target's head. If it's not, for example, like say the target's 250 meters away, and you set it to 200, set it to 200 and account for maybe that 50 meter difference above by aiming slightly above the target. Rangefinders and the ability to dope your scopes have made sniping a lot easier in Battlefield 4 than it was in Battlefield 3, especially for rooks. Compensating for a moving target's more difficult because it depends on the speed and the height of the target. If the target's moving fast, aim a fair distance ahead of the target, as well as where you think he will be, not where he is. The idea is to guess to, like I said, to guess where he will be instead of where he is. There's no way I can give you exact measurements or breakdown for this. It's not possible, because each and every single encounter you face in every lobby, every map, every single time will be different. This part just comes with practice and actually learning the ranges. Personally, again, I would not advise going prone all that much. I prefer to stand or take cover and strafe instead of going prone, because going prone leaves you with pretty much sometimes only your head exposed. And it's pretty much the primary and only target for them to hit. It makes a good sniper's job a shit ton easier, trust me on this. Sure, going prone reduces your surface area and steadies the gun, but you better be a good shot. I can personally say in my experiences, and you can verify by looking at the tons of recon videos I've put up not only for Battlefield 4 and for Battlefield 3, that most of the prone recon players that I kill are usually treated as a free kill for me, because by the time I find them, I'm a moving target. I find their head, I shoot, they won't even get a shot off. But again, that's up to you. Accuracy and timing comes with experience. Be willing to also push yourself out of your comfort zone. Playing as a close quarter aggressive recon at first may hurt your stats, but it'll dramatically improve your minimap, your minimap awareness, your situational awareness, and as well as your quick twitch target acquisition, and your ability to quickly find a target in scope and make adjustments between, say, moving to his head to his chest. Aggressive style of play makes you better. You'll struggle at first, but you will get better this way. Just sitting back and continually, if you want to improve all aspects of your sniping, sitting in one spot, you'll get better at it that way, sure, but you will not make quick adjustments, because then when you're forced to be aggressive, you won't have any practice. So the more you try it, the better you get, and the easier it becomes. Trust me on this. Practice makes, well, close to perfect. No one's perfect. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you leave a like if you learned something from it or you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.